Hi, I'm Sharon Marzouk. I am the founder of Techie Kids, and while I normally educate kids to learn robotics, which is really complex, I'm noticing that there's a lot of information out there about coronavirus and it can get overwhelming and confusing. I've been doing a lot of research, not an expert in that field, but been doing a lot of research and using critical thinking and synthesizing some information. I've been able to reach some conclusions. So, there's a few things. First of all, it's a scary time we live in. Very scary, but you know what? There have been periods of time that this has happened, and while in America we don't face crises like this very often, we can make memes about things, laugh about things, and we're usually very protected. Because of this, we are most at risk. We are most at risk because we don't know how to take things seriously and be in a crisis mode. So while countries like Hong Kong and China, they experienced Sars. And Sars is very similar to coronavirus. And because of that, even though they had many, many cases, they've actually been able to decrease their number of cases. Why is that? They are able to do it because they know what to do and how to react in a pandemic situation. Americans don't. So we either get smarter about this and things get better, or we keep being ignorant Americans and things get worse. We get to make a choice. But here's the thing, is our choice doesn't only impact you, your choice impacts everybody. Because in this situation, think of it like an STD that's not fun to get. STDs can be really fun to get, but they say when you sleep with somebody, it's like sleeping with everybody that they slept with, okay? But in this situation, you don't have fun while doing it, literally, but it's you are now around whoever they were around and they were around, and that's within a 12-foot radius. Because what happens is the droplets in the air can carry coronavirus. Not only that, it lives on surfaces for a very long amount of time. And so unfortunately, you handle something, someone handles it. So one person can make many people sick, and then those people can make many people sick. And this is why we have to take it extremely seriously. Now, because our government has not been doing their job. Why? They haven't been wanting people to get tested because our president doesn't want the number of people to get high, because even if people have coronavirus, if the numbers show that they are high, then his electability goes lower, and it doesn't look good. But he's caring about himself. Who is caring about us? We do. So, how do we care about us? So first of all, there is wrong information out there. There is wrong information out there because people assume that people are stupid, so let's try to think critically and make it smarter. First of all you people going out buying all the toilet paper, do you really need a year's worth of toilet paper? Probably not. But what happens if you take a year's worth of toilet paper, you make everybody else struggle, and so next time they see toilet paper on the shelf, they buy it all because they are afraid that there will be none. So cut the crap out, only buy what you need for maximum 2 or 3, maybe 1 month time. Because if everybody just bought what they needed, there wouldn't be a shortage. So it's because everyone's acting irrationally that we have a problem, and it gets amplified. So stop buying toilet paper and then listen to the next one. Because right now they're telling you that you don't need a mask or anything, and a mask is more harmful. But the thing is, in our culture, first of all, they're telling you this because they won't want you to be idiots and buy out all the masks. Because right now, our medical professionals, who are the closest to people who are infected, and you don't want them to get infected because they're also testing other people, and health professionals are doing the work that the rest of us are scared to do, quite frankly, and at least they have the expertise to do it. So first of all, thank you medical professionals for doing this, okay? So they need the masks first of all. And the thing is that there are plenty of masks out there. It's just that we in America don't normally wear masks. So now there's a problem. We're not used to this, and now everyone is spazzing. So the problem is if they tell you masks are needed, everyone goes out and buys a mask, and then there's no mask for the people who actually need it. So, first of all, think of a mask. We likened this to sort of an STD, except even worse because more people get it and you don't even interact with them. So, in order to prevent STDs, it's not foolproof, but what people do. They wear a condom, okay? Because if you have some sort of boundary against the thing that is causing the issue, then it lessens the chance of you getting it. So for coronavirus, even covering your mouth with something, because what happens, they say 12 feet, because as you talk, there's water droplets that come out of your mouth and projectiles that fire, okay? And then maybe from there also, while they come out and then they eventually land, they can also get carried by the wind and then get on surfaces, get to other people, and get them to breathe in. So first of all, stop touching your face, okay? Because this virus, it goes through water droplets, and then it gets on a surface, maybe a hand, or maybe a surface, someone touches it, and then the virus wants to get to your lungs. The way it gets to your lungs is your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth are all connected. So anytime it goes through one of these orifices, it can get down to your lungs and start to develop there, and then you get the problems of what's happening, which are pneumonia-like symptoms. Now, couple of things. When people cough, I've had a cough the last couple days. Every time I cough, I get a bit worried myself. Now, you might be sick with something because there's also, people generally have allergies now. They generally have coughs. They have other things that are happening. And so it can be a little bit scary. First of all, if you cough, here, not into your hands. And by the way, we shouldn't be touching any other people, but not on your hands because then you'll touch surfaces that are more likely for other people to touch. So if you need a cough here. There are two different kinds of coughs, generally. There is a more dry cough. There's a more wet cough. Now, the wet cough is more phlegmy, and that's more likely to be from a postnasal drip that is coming from a cold or allergies. Now, the dry cough, coronavirus goes into your lungs and it sends messages to then multiply, okay? And because of that, it's not affecting your nasal passages, which is the thing that creates the mucus, and you end up with a dry cough. So if you end up with a dry cough and a fever, this is what you need to be concerned about because for the most part, a lot of the corona symptoms have been a throat and then some lungs, cough, and a fever. And the scary thing about corona is that you can get corona and not really see symptoms for as long as like 2 weeks. And then, so it doesn't mean that you're not contagious in those 2 weeks periods. And that's what makes this virus even scarier, okay? So even if you're not carrying any symptoms, you can still transmit the disease to others. So we need to be very mindful. That's why they're saying we need to self-distance, okay? Now back to what I was saying before. Back before I was talking about STDs and condoms. Now, the things that we don't want the virus to go in because it's all connected, and we don't want the virus, and where we admit the virus is through our respiratory system, which is our lungs and our mouth is involved as well. But also, since our eyes and ears are connected, the virus is actually in all of the mucus and everything that we have. So if you're working with your contacts, you've got to wash your hands very well, okay? Ears, nose, mouth, so forth. Now, what we want to do is when you're out in public, which you want to limit as much as possible, because as I mentioned, this is highly contagious. You don't know if you have symptoms. Many people actually have it. They don't know they have it at this point because we don't have tests and they haven't had symptoms at that point. And we're used to just the common cold, coughs, and whatnot. So what I recommend is, first of all, self-distance. Normal viruses, there's a 6 feet radius. This virus is a 12-foot radius, which is huge. Next thing is, it is better to have some sort of coverage. It doesn't necessarily need to be an N95 masks. So first of all, talking about masks, there are different masks. There are masks that make sure no other air can come in because it creates a seal. And then what you want to do is actually bend this. So if you have a mask already, wear it. Wear it out in public, even if you have no symptoms, okay? If you're sick, wear a mask or any sort of covering. If you don't have a mask, just use what you have so far because we want the medical professionals to have it first off. If you're sick, stay home, okay? If you've been around someone who has gotten tested and has coronavirus, don't go out because you could be a carrier. And the thing is, and what's scary about this virus, is it's not that you get it once and you fight it and the antibodies come and you don't get it again. There are people who've gotten coronavirus, recovered, tested without it, and then got it again. So you can get reinfected by it. So even if you're the most selfish person in the world, think about yourself. You don't want to get reinfected, and if you keep the chain going from person to person, you will get it again, and you don't want that, do you? So what we want to do is protect people from, first of all, hand washing is actually much more effective than hand sanitizer. So all of you people buying up the hand sanitizer, wash your hands, water and soap, 20 seconds, sing a song, front and back, warm water, very important. Hand sanitizer is good, but don't be touching your face anyway, and don't buy it up because you make it worse. And if you're stealing it from your health professionals, you are a bad person. Stop it. And if you're stealing it in general and you're preventing other people from getting it, guess what? You're only hurting yourself because if one person has it and they're storing it, that means you're allowing other people to not get clean and increasing your chance of getting sick. So if you think you're being clever by taking or hoarding or reselling for higher prices, gouging other people from their own health, guess what? You're making things worse for everyone. So don't do that. Now, if you're listening to me, then you probably agree, and then I can tell you the next bit, which can't be told to incompetent people, which is masks are actually good. Unfortunately, they don't think people are smart enough to know that masks are good, and they don't want to tell people because they don't want people to keep buying the masks. So, what you need to do is, if you have a mask, wear it. Because even if you're still breathing in particles, when you're talking and you're breathing, what happens is those particles don't get as far. Also, when you're breathing in, yes, you want more of a 95, but same thing with here. If someone else is talking to you and there's particles in the air, it will land on the mask first, and it lessens the opportunity because, once again, just like a condom, there's a barrier between the infection and where it can actually infect. So keep that in mind. If you have any sort of a mask, wear it. Don't buy them, but the more people who have them, the better. This is a case, and this is where it goes in, and it makes it just more obvious. If we all work together, we can make the world a better place. And that's why I've been working on Techie Kids, because that is the idea, you know? Collaboration, because at the end, if we all work together, we're better for it. And instead of just flattening the curve and getting about the same amount of people and so forth, and just over a longer period of time so we don't overwhelm the healthcare system, if we actually all are smart about this for the next 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, it's possible that we can just make this go away entirely. Because this virus survives going from person to person to person, and it can go back around. So if we break that chain, we have the option and the possibility to actually put an end to this. Make this thing go away. So I beg of you, and your friends and your community begs of you, to please take this seriously. Self-distance. And do it for yourself. Do it for those you love. Do it for the people around you. Because this is a case that it makes it very obvious that we need to be working together and not competitively and against each other for not only our own personal well-being, but the people we love. But also, if you're a jerk, look at it as you're doing it for your own personal well-being. And that's fine with me. So, wish everyone to be safe, be well, and have a good day, and take care. I just want to add a few things about things you can do, because sometimes when we restrict ourselves too much, you kind of go on the other end and just do it all. And since we are human and we're not perfect, human interaction is important, but keep in mind you want to socially distance yourself. So if you are meeting with people, keep distance, don't touch, no more handshaking. Probably don't even touch them at all is actually the better way. The next thing is go for a walk, go to the park, just stay away from people, but go out. You can also, there's a lot of video conferences, like I know Google's doing something, I think Zoom is doing something too, where we're gonna have dinner with someone, have dinner at your desk, do a video conference, meet up with them, or a lot of the viruses, they don't survive so well outside, and there's air coming in, and also heat isn't good for viruses, which means it's good for us. So do more activities outside, away from people. You don't want to be enclosed where the air is circulating and things like that. So some things that you can do, but also take it seriously, because not only is it super contagious and people who aren't exhibiting symptoms are getting it, but the other thing is that there have been plagues and everything that have literally wiped out 40% of the population. And while we haven't experienced it in our lifetimes and we've been very serious, there have been people who have, and they were people too, and it happened to them. So keep in mind that history can repeat itself if you aren't mindful. So anyway, once again, be safe, be healthy, and talk to you later.